The last theory to explain origin of life is the theory of chemical evolution of life. It is also called Oparin-Haldane theory. Oparin theory is also known as primary abiogenesis, which means abiogenesis first and then biogenesis ever since. The theory is based on four important issues of the atmosphere of ancient Earth. First one, a reducing atmosphere without free oxygen. Second one, all four major elements, that is hydrogen, carbon, nitrogen and oxygen, were available in some form. Third one, chemical synthesis of organic compound occurred in pre-primeval oceans. And the fourth one, the energy for synthesis came from UV radiations, electrical discharge, volcanic heat, and radiation from rocks. It was proposed by Russian Alexander I. Oparin and supported by J.B.S. Haldane. Primitive life originated in water bodies on the primitive earth from non-living organic molecules such as RNA, proteins, by chemical evolution through a series of chemical reactions about 4 billion years ago. Steps in chemogeny, that is chemical evolution. About 4 billion years ago, conditions on the earth favored the chemical evolution. As the earth started cooling, gradually simple atoms in the atmosphere like hydrogen, nitrogen, carbon and oxygen reacted with one another. Hydrogen atom being highly reactive combined with the other atoms and formed simple inorganic compounds like water, methane and ammonia. That is, even the surface temperature of Earth was around 100 degrees centigrade. Its atmosphere had nitrogen in the form of ammonia, carbon in the form of methane and oxygen in the form of water vapor. But there was no free oxygen, so the primitive atmosphere was reducing. As the earth cooled down, water vapor in the atmosphere condensed into clouds and it began to rain. But since the earth's surface was still hot, it could not contain liquid water, hence it was vaporized and returned to the atmosphere. This process continued for millions of years. As a result of long torrential rain, the Earth's surface developed a solid crust which later carved into ridges and furrows. Once the Earth's surface cooled enough to hold water, the furrows were filled with water to form water bodies like oceans, seas, rivers. The rainwater dissolved the atmospheric ammonia, methane, hydrogen cyanide, carbon dioxide and hydrogen, while the flowing river water carried salts and minerals into the seas. In addition to this, volcanic eruptions increased the mineral content in the sea. Second step, that is transformation of atmospheric gases into simple organic molecules. During breaking and recombining process of inorganic molecules, methane, which was considered to be highly reactive, reacted with other inorganic molecules and produced following carbon containing simple organic molecules. For example, CH4, that is methane, reacted with water to form sugar, fatty acid and glycerol. Methane reacted with water and ammonia to form amino acids. Methane reacted with hydrogen, ammonia, and HCl, nitrogen cyanide, to form nitrogen bases. Haldane proposed that these simple organic compounds gradually accumulated in the water bodies, and finally a hot soup or prebiotic soup or broth was formed. Step number 3, formation of complex organic compounds. Some compounds would have become concentrated on the surface of clay particles. Clay contains zinc and iron ions that could act as catalyst. Clay binds sugar and amino acid and helped in the formation of polymers. Other compounds became concentrated in small pools at the edges of the sea by evaporation. Such concentrated organic compounds could undergo polymerization to produce larger molecules. The polymerization of amino acids, DNA, RNA occurred in this way. Sugar reacted with another sugar to form polysaccharides. Fatty acid combined with the glycerol to form lipids. Amino acid combined with another amino acid to form proteins. Nitrogen bases combined with the sugar to form nucleosides. Nucleosides combined with the phosphate to form nucleotides and ATP. Nucleotides reacted with the nucleotides to form nucleic acids. Step number 4, formation of probionts. The macromolecules formed in certain places, such as sediments of shallow seas, spontaneously came together to form more complex structures called protobionts or first free cells. The first protobionts are microscopic droplets. They had lipid or protein coverings that were water repellent. Such coverings could isolate the content of droplet from water surroundings. Scientists like Oparin, Sidney Fox, and others have been able to make prebionts in the laboratory. 3 types of prebionts have been produced in the way. So are first one conservatives, second one microspheres, and third one liposomes. The first one conservatives. These were obtained experimentally by Oparin. They are particles composed of 2 or more organic molecules such as polypeptides, nucleic acids, and polysaccharides. They tend to form droplets when introduced into water. They are capable of simple metabolism. When conservatives were made using short RNAs, replicating enzymes, and nucleotides, they grow by absorbing nutrients from the medium. Second one, proteinoid microspheres. These were produced by Sidney Fox in 1954. These are small spherical cell-like units formed by proteinoids placed in boiling water and slowly allowed to cool. They show osmotic properties and have the ability of motility and binary fission. Number 3, liposomes. They are artificial membranes of lipids produced by Diemer in 1960. Formation of protocell or eobionts. It is proposed that as co-preservatives came together and fused, a combination of several biomolecules were produced, such as DNA, RNA, proteins, ATP, carbohydrate, etc. Lipoproteinous membranes could have developed such an aggregation. Initially, RNAs acted as enzymes, which stimulated reactions to occur. These reactions helped in maintaining the internal environment, which was different from external environment. Such complexes or aggregates that developed enzyme-controlled reactions are called protobions or eubions. Next one is the process of chemical evolution, that is, formation of first cell. First true cells came from protocells. They might have been formed around 3 billion years ago. They might have resembled the modern anaerobic bacteria in being prokaryotic and having naked DNA functioning as their genome. The archaebacteria are the living relics of first cellular life on Earth. Some archaebacteria are methanogens, extreme halophils, and extreme thermophils. For example, extreme thermophils named Methanococcus lives at a temperature of 88 degrees centigrade and a crushing pressure of 255 times greater than the sea level. These are thus similar to those which may have existed in the Earth's early oceans. Prokaryotes are the only forms of life on the Earth for almost 2 billion years until eukaryotes evolved. These first cells were anaerobes as oxygen was still not available. They were chemoheterotrophs because they absorbed organic molecules of the environment which were formed earlier. Next step in the chemical evolution was development of chemoautotrophs. Spontaneous synthesis of organic compounds declined due to decline in the temperature. This made it compulsory for development of alternative methods for obtaining energy from inorganic substances. Some early cells reduced such components available in the environment. A similar method of nutrition is seen today in iron bacteria and nitrifying bacteria. Next development in the chemical evolution was the development of photoautotrophs. Marine cells started making use of visible light as a source of energy to synthesize energy-rich compounds. This was the beginning of photosynthesis. But the first photosynthesizers were anaerobic and performed anoxygenic photosynthesis, that is, photosynthesis without involving oxygen. They might have resembled the modern bacteria like Rhodopseudomonas and Chlorobium. Aerobic photosynthesizers developed later and performed oxygenic photosynthesis, that is, photosynthesis with release of oxygen. They resembled modern cyanobacteria like Nostoc, Spirulina, etc. When aerobic photosynthesizers appeared about 2.5 billion years ago. They played an important role in increasing the concentration of oxygen in the Earth's atmosphere from below 1% to current level of 21%. Fossils of such bacteria dated to 2.9 billion years ago have been found in the Kashia region of Orissa. The atmosphere thus gradually changed from an original reducing one to an oxidizing form. An important result of appearance of free oxygen was the formation of the ozone layer. It could reduce penetration of UV rays of the sun to the earth. Another result was that with free oxygen available, organisms began to evolve aerobic methods of respiration. The last one in the chemical evolution was the development of eukaryotes. Eukaryotes are nothing but cells with distinct nucleus and cell organelles. It is assumed that eukaryotic cells evolved from prokaryotic cells either by symbiotic origin or origin by invagination. The first one, symbiotic origin. According to Margulis, some anaerobic predator host cells engulfed primitive aerobic bacteria but did not digest them. These aerobic bacteria established themselves inside the host cell as symbionts. Such predator host cells became the first eukaryotic cells. The predator host cells that engulfed aerobic bacteria evolved into animal cells, while those that captured aerobic bacteria and blue-green algae became eukaryotic plant cells. The aerobic bacteria established themselves as mitochondria and blue-green algae as chloroplasts. Second theory, origin by invagination. According to this view, cell organelles of eukaryotic cells might have originated by invagination of surface membrane of primitive prokaryotic cell. The last one, that is, origin of multicellular organism. It was proposed that multicellular organisms formed by two ways. The way number one, unicellular organisms continue to divide more number of daughter cells, but daughter cells formed are failed to separate from each other, thus formed multicellular organisms. Second way. In the second way, it was assumed that multicellular organisms were formed by aggregation of unicellular forms. Gathering or aggregation of unicellular photosynthetic cells evolved into photosynthetic multicellular plants. Non-separated or aggregated heterotrophic non-photosynthetic unicellular forms evolved into animals. Miller's experiment. In 1953, Harold Urey and Stanley Miller began working on to confirm Oparin's theory at the Chicago University. Stanley Miller devised a glass apparatus to simulate earlier atmosphere. This apparatus is called spark discharge apparatus. In their experiment, they added water to the round bottom flask of the apparatus. All the air from the set apparatus was removed. Hydrogen, methane and ammonia were added through the stopcock in the ratio 1:2:2 without following any air to enter the apparatus. The water in the flask was then heated to a boiling point. It produced steam and circulated clockwise through the apparatus. The spherical sparking chamber contains two tungsten electrodes separated by a gap of 1 centimeter. After attaching the electrodes to a sparking coil, a continuous discharge of spark was produced between the electrodes. The convection current caused by the circulation of steam moved the three gases in, that is, such as CH4, hydrogen and NH3 across the electrodes. Steam was condensed below the sparking chamber near the water-cooled condenser. In this way, the products of the sparking chamber were washed out into the trap where they remained. If the products were volatile, they continued to circulate along with steam. Miller's apparatus was continuously run for about a week with sparking. The products found in the trap were then analyzed. It was found that there were a number of organic compounds, namely amino acids like glycine, alanine, aspartic acid, glutamic acid, urea, uric acid, acetic acid, succinic acid, propionic acid, the pentose sugar, that is ribose, and the nucleobase, that is adenine, found. Miller's experiment was designed to produce almost the same condition that existed in the primitive atmosphere. The spark simulated lightning and served as source of energy. There was no oxygen, simulated reducing atmosphere. The boiling water produced steam as it did in the prebiotic earth. The experiment successfully tested the fact that organic compound could be produced in the condition prevailing in the prebiotic world.